Today's episode will bear good fruit. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the 209th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Schaeffer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. If you missed my last episode, go back to thesaleswhisperer.com/session 208. I had Jody Arguito on, and I'm happy to be working with her, working on a little hands-on, intensive, immersive event coming up in October, helping her clients dig in and launch some massive campaigns. But I had her on to discuss how she overcame some issues, being a single mom, an entrepreneur, leveraging her skills as a copywriter to build a successful business. And now she's launching the Wizards of Webinars. She is simplifying and demystifying what it takes to launch through webinars. And you will want to check out those notes, check out that interview. And again, it's at session 208. Next week, we've got a friend of mine, Martin Shervington from the UK. Good guy, very active. Usually I say, take these podcasts and listen at double speed like I do. You may have to dial him back to half speed, not only because of the accent. Sometimes that's harder to hear, but he talks fast. Dude's fired up. Really good guy, very smart when it comes to marketing and social media marketing. So you're in for a treat with him. Today we have Mr. Bryan Harris. He's a customer of mine on Infusionsoft, but he is the owner of VideoFruit, and he has launched several other software initiatives. I use a couple of them. We discuss how to really dig down and do what matters to grow your business. And the number one thing you should focus on, both when you're getting started and even after you have some success. I like the way he just boils it down and focuses on the essentials. Maybe it's a Southern thing, right? Get down to brass tacks, baby. We're going to tell you how the cow eats the cabbage. So you're in for a treat today. And I want to make sure that you knew of a couple things I'm working on. As I mentioned before, the 5.us, that is back. We're going to do that in October. Very small group, 5 people, like Jim Rohn used to say. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So come hang out in Southern California. Once you get here, everything is paid for. And we're going to dig down for 2.5 days and help you grow your business. So again, that is the5.us. And then be sure to check out the inbound sellers. I've got banners around my site, but it's a daily email. I'm actually pondering a few things. I've got 4 recorded episodes already in the can here. After this one, and I may be changing up the format a little bit, so stay tuned for that. But I'm always working on things, always working on new ways to bring value, ways to stand out in the marketplace. That's what we all have to do in our business, and I am no different. But inboundsellers.com, or just head over to thesaleswhisperer.com, look at the different sites. When you're reading this blog post or listening to it online, you'll see an opt-in on the right. And it's a daily email that I'm writing, and I'm getting a lot of clarity myself going through that. It takes discipline. It has forced me to really map out where I want to take things, where I want to take my business. And I'll discuss that more in future episodes, but I think you'll find it interesting. And I'll certainly be sharing the pros and cons and the tips and tricks on that if you attend the 5. But for now, let's bring on Bryan. Bryan Harris, Want More Email Subscribers Superstar, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Thanks for having me on, Wes.
Thanks for taking a little bit of time. We had to reschedule, but you were worth it. And you're the only guy I'm ever going to go 2.5 hours on a podcast with, all right? So we're going to make sure and tell everybody not to expect this. So, hey, man, I got your website pulled up here, VideoFruit.com. I've known you, a year and a half, 2 years, help you get started with Infusionsoft. But could you take a minute or two, kind of give a thumbnail sketch of your background and what you're working on, and we'll dive down the rabbit hole?
Sure. So I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, have failed every single time I've ever tried to do anything. From when I was 7 and had a baseball card shop and got ripped off by the next door neighbor, all the way through a lawn care company and web design business when I was 16, and just thing after thing after thing after thing, and everything failed. So finally, I guess it's been maybe 4 years ago now, I was reading Tim Ferriss's blog, and came across an article on how to build apps. And it was written by a guy named Chad Moretta. Really good post. I think it was May of 2012, maybe somewhere around there, that was published. And it just got me thinking again, because I hadn't done anything entrepreneurial in the last few years, about doing that, about following that plan. So I followed the plan, built 2 apps, launched them, and no one bought them again. So then I just got really frustrated, and went on about a year-long journey of trying out every online marketing strategy I could find. Like, what were all these successful people doing that I wasn't doing? Why would they make apps and they work, but I would make some and I couldn't find anybody, the random people on the internet wouldn't buy them from me, but they would buy them from other people. Like, what was I missing? So I just started experimenting. I started the blog VideoFruit, which is a slightly longer story why it's named that. But started the blog and started just experimenting with every strategy I could find. So if Seth Godin talked about something, I would try it out, report the results. Gary Vaynerchuk talked about some YouTube thing. I would try it out, share the results, on and on and on. And finally, after about a year of that, I hit on something that worked every single time. Like, it was the thing that no matter who you talk to online, if they're doing something on any kind of scale, if they're successful on any kind of scale, I kept hearing the same thing over and over again, which was interesting because there's so much divide of people saying, oh, this person says to do this, but don't do this. You really need to do this thing. But there was a common theme that every single person said, a common strategy that every person said they wish they'd have done sooner and they wish they had more of. And that was having an email list. So I started building my list. If all the smart people did it, and that was the thing that supposedly they all agreed on, I'll try it out and see how it works. So I did that, and in October 2014, I'd gone from 0 subscribers to, I think in October I had around 6,000 subscribers. And I launched a product, and it did $25,000 of sales in a week. And that was by far the biggest success of any of all the business I'd ever tried in the past 25 years of trying to do different things. So over the last 2 years, since that time in October 2014, we've just been growing our list and helping other people do the same thing. So we teach people how to grow an email list. And then the next step, which is how to build a product and launch a product to that list so you can actually make money and help people. So that's what we do all day, every day. We grow lists and build and launch products.
Right. Very cool. So how quickly did you go from 0 to 6,000 subscribers?
Yeah, so let's see. January 2014, I had 200 subscribers on the list, and we went from 200 to 10,000 by the end of the year. So it took us a year to get to 10,000, and then from if I can remember, so from the end of 2014 to the end of 2015, I think we ended the year, I want to say around 40 to 50,000 by the end of 2015, and then we're right at knocking on the door of 100,000 now. So over 3 years, we've gone from 0 to, we'll finish the year a little above 100,000. So that's been the basic growth pattern.
All right. So how did you do that? Right? Because in the beginning, you didn't really have a product to sell, right? Because you didn't sell a product till October.
Yeah, January to October, no list, or building the list and no product at all. So there's a few different strategies that you can use that we found to be effective. There is no one-size-fits-all strategy that if you do this thing, you're guaranteed to get 10,000 subscribers. But there's a handful of strategies that just kind of are based on basic human principles and that just tend to work no matter what industry or what product or service or coaching thing or whatever it is you're offering. Even physical products, brick and mortar businesses, all of them work basically the same way. A few pieces of advice I'd give before I give the strategies, a few of them that you can try out is, at the end of the day, marketing comes down to, I think Noah Kagan taught me this, try a bunch of stuff and pick the one that's working and do more of that. And we tend to overcomplicate it, metrics and tracking and ROI, like just find out what's working. Like right now, what is the thing that's actually working for you? And I almost guarantee you haven't maxed that out yet. So focus on that.
I promise you, somebody listening to this says, well, nothing's working, Bryan. That's why I'm listening to this. That's why I still have a day job. That's why I'm wasting money on SEO and PPC, and I'm just spending money.
Yeah, so a lot of the times we hear that type of language and objections from people that are under 100 subscribers. So what I would suggest for you, a couple of strategies that work really well for people under 100 is when you're in the 0 to 100 category, don't focus on trying to sell stuff right now. Like, just take that out of your mind. What you want to do, your goal should be to get to 1,000 subscribers in 90 days. So write it out on a sticky note, post it up on the wall, because the biggest barrier between getting from 0 to 1,000 isn't a strategy that you supposedly don't know right now. It's you keeping your butt focused on getting there and not trying to start a Pinterest page and Instagram and webinar, like all the million strategies you hear from everybody. Like your goal, you have to filter every decision you do within your business through the goal of, is this going to get me to 1,000? And if not, don't do it. If so, do more of it. And what I find is most people in that 0 to 100 category that say stuff like that are just some of the most unfocused people I know. And been there, done that. Today has been an extremely unfocused day for me. And I've been all over the map today. So this isn't me speaking from the mountain. This is just me talking from experience of myself and working with people. So the first thing you have to do is get extremely focused on your goal. And if you're at 0, your goal should be 100. If you're over 100, your goal should be 1,000. And write it down, put it up on the wall. That's the first thing you have to do. Don't just listen to that. Like actually pull out a sticky note right now, write it down, put it up on your monitor. So every time you sit down at your desk, every time you get up, that goal is staring you in the face. Because if you aren't focused on that, you're going to try all this other stuff. You're going to try to make products. You're going to try to build apps. And it's just not the right time for that yet. Like you have to do things in the right order. You can't build products when no one knows you exist. Guess what? 99.9% of the time, they're not going to work. So quit reading Fortune magazine and Inc. magazine and just do things in the right order, and it'll work. Much more likely to work. So first thing is pick your list goal. Second thing that I found to work really well is to start with what you have. Like look at the assets you already have. 15 to 20% of people that are starting in that 0 to 100 category have some blog that they used to run somewhere that has a couple hundred subscribers on it. They have a Twitter account with 400 or 500 followers. They have a Facebook page that has 500 or 1,000 people on it. So make a list of any assets you have. And the very first asset you should write down is your own network of people you know. Maybe they aren't on a Facebook page. Maybe they don't follow you on Twitter. But you have friends, you have family, you have people to go to church with, people you hang out with, people, what are your college friends, your high school friends? Like you know people. You have a network of 200, 400, 500 people that follow you on LinkedIn or that just know who you are. The very first thing I teach people to do when they're just starting out, when they have 0 on their list, is to make a list of 3 people they know. So like your mom, your high school buddy, and a guy you're in a Slack group with. Just like write their names down right now. And then just invite them to your list. Like you don't need a landing page. You don't need a website. You don't need a domain name. You don't need graphics. You don't need any of the stuff, all the stuff that distracts you from actually doing something. All those are just fancy forms of procrastination in the beginning. First thing to do is write down 3 people's names and just ask them, like text them right now or call them right now and say, hey, John, this is Bryan. I'm starting a weekly newsletter. Don't worry about that part. I'm starting a weekly newsletter where I'm going to share tips on, I'm going to learn how to cook. I'm going to teach you how to cook as I learn how to cook these different recipes. I think that might be something you'd be interested in. Do you want in? They're going to respond back with yes or no. If they say yes, then say, great, what's your best email address? Write the email address down on a piece of paper. If they, very rarely does somebody you actually know say no. People are normally shocked when they go through this exercise at how many people are actually really excited to follow them and to learn from them. And if they say something like, hey, I don't know, let me think about that, respond with, okay, what's your best email address? If they say, I don't know, let me get back to you. What's your best email address? If they say, well, tell me more about it, ask them, what's your best email address? Pretty much anything they say that's not no, respond with, what's your best email address, and write it down on a piece of paper. Your goal is to do that until you get 100 people that have said yes. And just ask people. It's mind-blowing how many subscribers you can get just by asking people. We've had regularly, we have students get to 100 subscribers in 24 hours just by doing that. And these aren't people, these aren't going to be your like ideal group of buyers. Like you're not going to launch a product the next day. So again, take that out of your mind. You're not going to launch anything to get to 1,000. But what you can do once you have 100 people's permission to talk to them on a regular basis is that you can ask them to send a friend to you. You can host a giveaway, which is another strategy we teach in that 100 to 1,000 category. You can ask them to send the first email you send them to a friend. Like you can actually use their network to grow your list. So we start there. Like get 100 people on your list just by asking them. If you have an old email list somewhere, send out an email and tell them about your new product. If you have a group of friends, ask them to join your list. So that's one of the easiest things to do in the 0 to 100 category. Most people max that out around 50 to 100 to 200 subscribers. That maxes out their personal network. After that, another strategy we found to work really well is something called the poster boy formula. This is where, like if you go to pretty much any website you know, like go to infusionsoft.com. What's on their homepage? There's testimonials from people that have used the product and have had success with it. And nearly every single website you go to has that. They have testimonials, case studies of people that have used their product and have had success. And the reason that's the case is because the best way to sell something is not to tell your own story. The best way to sell something is to tell your customer's story, right? So we had a student, John Meese, for instance, who went through the 2 or 3 strategies I'm going to share on this podcast. Just them. Built a list of 250 subscribers. You can do that in the next 24 hours. Most people can if you just hustle your own network and your own existing assets. 250 subscribers, did that in 30 days. And the next 30 days, he built and launched a product. And the topic was how to use Michael Hyatt's WordPress theme. So Michael had launched this WordPress theme, and a lot of his users were beginners and didn't know how to use it and had a lot of questions. So John was like, why don't I create a course? Let me build a list first of people who actually care about that topic. Then I build a course on that topic and launch it to him. And he did $10,000 in sales on a course about how to use Michael Hyatt's WordPress theme with 250 subscribers. Right? So that's the poster boy formula in action. I just told John's story. You know who John is. You're probably going to go Google John now and try to find his plugin, try to find a site. Every month, John gets a couple hundred subscribers from me telling his story. That's the poster boy formula in action. So be people's poster boy. Easy way to do this, write down a list of 5 books you've read recently, 5 courses you bought, 5 podcasts you listen to, blogs you read, whatever you consume. So books you read, podcasts you listen to, blogs you or newsletters you open regularly. Just write down a list of 5 of each of those. Then, if it's a newsletter, if it's a product, just hit reply to the next email that person sends you. So like we send emails on a weekly basis. Right now we're in the middle of a launch, so we're sending them slightly more regularly. But we usually send emails weekly. One of the easiest ways to get me to read your email and to respond to you is just sign up for the newsletter, read something I wrote, and respond to it. Versus sending like a cold email that's completely out of context. If you just respond to something, I'm sending you an email and you're responding to it, which is very different than you sending a cold email. So make a list of those books you've read, podcasts you've listened to, blogs you've read, courses you bought, what other categories you want to come up with, and respond back to that person. Not just with a, hey, let me get your thoughts on this. Don't ask them for something. Instead, share a win that you've experienced from their teaching. So, for example, if you're listening to this podcast right now and you've always struggled with building an email list, you've always wondered, how do I build products and turn my ideas into cool things that people actually buy? If you take just the poster board formula, or let's say you take the invite everyone you know thing, you get your first 100 subscribers by just asking people you know. Like, respond back to an email and share that story with me. Say, hey, Bryan, this is John. I appreciate the podcast of Wes. It was awesome. I took that strategy. I invited my mom to my list. Check out this text message screenshot I had. And she was ecstatic about it. And she told 10 of her friends, and I got my first 11 email subscribers. Guess what? Like, I'm going to tell your story to people. Just like I told John's story, I want to share stories of people that actually do stuff. And the cool thing is, every company that exists is the same way. The favorite emails we get, the best emails we get, and anybody I know that runs a business is the same way, are customers who've actually executed on the product and have had a cool result. So be the poster boy. And this is how we got our first 200 email subscribers. So this was in 2013. I told you I started January 2014 with 200 subscribers. So and this is, I don't remember the date, maybe November of 2013. I did this, didn't even really know what I was doing, but I bought a course from Noah Kagan, went through the course, and as I went through the course, I just shared the success I was having as I was having it. And they ended up telling my story to their entire email list. Now, at the time, I had no idea that an email list was valuable or no idea how to optimize to convert those people or whatever, but I wound up accidentally getting 200 people on the list by using the poster boy formula. And it works every single time. This is something you can use no matter what phase you're at. So if you're at 0 to 100, you can use it. 100 to 1,000, you can use it. If you're over 10,000, you can use it there too. We use it on a regular basis. Just pay attention to who you're learning from, tell them thank you, and share a result with that. That can end up in you being featured to their newsletter, you being featured on the homepage, guest posting opportunities, podcast opportunities, the list goes on. And one of the best things that it results in is relationships with those people. And that relationship is what's going to get you in front of their audience. And there's all types of valuable things. That can get you advice and what you need. That can build a relationship of you helping them. I've gotten freelance opportunities out of it, guest posting opportunities, podcast, all different types of things. There was one a few months ago where I was actually putting together a webinar. I was teaching this, and I went back and kind of gathered all the data, trying to find some good examples of this. And in April of 2014, I guess I bought lead pages for the first time. I don't know if that date's exact, but somewhere around then. And I had had a Twitter direct message where I'd sent an email or a Twitter direct message to Clay Collins, the guy that owns Lead Pages or co-owner, and said, "Hey, Clay, thanks for Lead Pages. I actually use Lead Page template, and it got me whatever conversion rate. It gave me a 90% conversion rate on this page or whatever. I just shared the result, whatever the result was." And he responded back, said, "Oh, cool, thanks, man." And then a few months later, I was listening to the Smart Passive Income podcast, and Clay was on the podcast, and he shared my story with the Smart Passive Income audience. And so I direct messaged Clay again and said, "Hey, Clay, thanks a lot for sharing that. That resulted in a couple hundred email subscribers for me. I appreciate it." He was like, "No problem." That ended up in him introducing me to Tim Page, where I did a podcast interview, and that produced another couple hundred email subscribers. That podcast interview resulted in a guest post opportunity where I got 1,200 subscribers, resulted in another another guest post opportunity. Altogether, when you added up the whole chain of events, from me just sending one direct message to somebody and saying thank you and sharing the result, it was over 3,500 email subscribers from that one instance. That was spread out over a year and a half, but that one relationship, that one thank you, resulted in 3,500 email subscribers. So that's another strategy that works really well. First of all, write your list goal down. Second, invite everyone you know. Start with the lowest hanging fruit. Don't make it really hard on yourself. Start with the easy people. Third, use the poster board formula. There's a bunch of other stuff you can do, but those are 3 strategies that anybody can use at any phase that work really well, and you can see some pretty quick results from.
Okay. Man, I'm going to have to end this interview because that sounds like work and relationships. Come on, man. This is 2016. What you're talking about is so 1980s. I mean, like human relationships. I thought you were like this cutting edge marketing guy, man. Who are you? Who took over? Turn your video on. I don't think this is really Bryan. Somebody's probably holding you at gunpoint. Okay, give me the safety word because I'm going to send the police, man. And I mean, that's awesome. It is so doable. And the sad thing is very few people will do that.
Yeah, like most people get distracted. Like you have to think, anytime you hear a strategy, you have to ask yourself, when should I do this? Like if you're listening to, there's several friends that run Facebook ads, courses, and podcasts and that kind of thing. If you're just starting out and you have no experience or very limited experience with pay-per-click advertising, do not start trying to do that. That is like level 10 difficulty. You're not going to do well. You're going to waste a ton of money. You don't even have a product to sell anyway. Like, don't start there. That's an advanced strategy. So you have to think of what bucket should I put it in. Should I put it in a 0 to 100 bucket? Is that a strategy that goes there? The 100 to 1,000 bucket, the 1,000 to 10,000 bucket, 10,000
What?
up?
You mean I shouldn't go buy the MacDaddy hosting plan, Unbounce, Lead Pages, ClickFunnels, Infusionsoft, Shopify, Aweber, what else am I missing? Shouldn't I go buy all those like right now and then go get my digital marketing certification and then my Infusionsoft ICP certification and then I'll be ready?
Yeah, that's all. You probably need to wait on all that.
Oh man. Okay. I wonder if I can go get a refund real quick. Okay. Just keep talking. I'm gonna go hit chat support real quick. Oh, this is so true. I mean, and God works in mysterious ways, right? We had to reschedule this a couple times, and I have an email pulled up. I am segmenting my list because things have changed with me, with competition, with some bad contractors messing up some stuff. Google's algorithm changes. My opt-ins are down, and I'm doing actually a list purge. Going through saying, hey, folks, I get it. If you're not digging my stuff anymore, click here to resubscribe. I got something new. And if it's not for you, that's cool. I'll just unsubscribe you. And so I'm going to modify my approach literally today. So I'll be sending you some emails on the results to freshen things up. And I think as entrepreneurs, we think just do one thing and run with it and blah, 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 and that's all you have to do and you have your business. But it's like, McDonald's sells salad and chicken nuggets now. They didn't do that 50 years ago. And, if they didn't change, if they didn't re-emphasize or bring in new things like coffee and gourmet coffee, iced coffee, certainly stick with the Big Mac and the fries, but you need to be figuring out what else you can bring to market, apple pies and salads, because the world changes, right?
Yep, sure.
Man, that's awesome. I know you're up against a hard stop. This will be a little shorter podcast than normal, but I don't think it needs to go any longer. I mean, people need to do these things. This is real world. And I'm going to be doing this too. So we're recording this on July 21st. Let me pull up my calendar here. When are we going live with this episode? Got to open my little folder here. All right, Bryan. So this will go live a month later. This is going live August 22nd.
Cool.
So in the intro, I will give an update on how we're doing. So I'm going to follow your exact process, literally starting today, and so I'll be able to count. And I can do some tagging and whatnot. I can figure it out. We can, because I get opt-ins anyway. But this we'll track what kind of bump I get in this process.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Share it with you.
Another little hack you can do if you have an established site like yourself, take your most popular lead magnet. So maybe that's what you offer on your sidebar. Maybe you have an upside-down homepage on the homepage of your site, whatever the case is, whatever you get the most opt-ins to. And there's a plugin called smartbribe.com. And you can take this and put it on the thank you page of the lead magnet. So basically what normally happens when people have some form of lead magnet or a freebie they give away on their site, they have an ebook or a course or a whatever, tool guide or whatever, people opt in, they come to your site, they see the free thing, they opt in for it, and then they go to a thank you page that tells them to go check their email. The problem with that is those people, when they go to that thank you page, are the most engaged they will most likely ever be on your list. But you don't ask them to tell anybody about what you're doing. So with Smart Bribe, you can set up a little giveaway that when somebody opts into your free thing, they go to another page and it says, hey, thanks for opting in for the free course I just gave you. If you want to get two more or one more free thing, like maybe a little free video or a Q&A or another free thing you have on your site, to get that, just tell one friend about us and accuse them to tweet about the thing they just got. We found that we had an ebook we published right before a launch in May. We published the ebook to our list, got, however many people opted into it, but we had like only 40 or 50 people shared it. And then we installed a Smart Bribe on the thank you page for the ebook. So instead of them opting in for the ebook, going to the thank you page, and then they just go get the ebook and go put it on their hard drive and never look at it again. Now they opted in for the ebook and they went to a page that encouraged them to tell their friends about it. And we, in the first 24 hours of having it open, we got 40 to 50 shares. In the next 24 hours, after having Smart Bribe on that page, we got 500 shares just from changing that one thing. So if you have like a webinar registration form, if you have the main lead magnet on your site, go to smartbribe.com. It's free. Take a few of the other free things you have on your site. If you have other content upgrades or other freebies on your site anywhere, record a 5-minute video of you answering some popular questions. It can be anything. Offer it on that Smart Bribe page, and people will share. That's something I would do for US right off the gate, as well as you can just Google upside down homepage as well. If you have any existing traffic coming to your site, those are two of the quickest ways to turn that, to just increase your conversions on your site. Install an upside down homepage. Just Google upside down homepage. There's several posts that have been written on that topic and templates that you can download. Get Smart Bribe, put that on your thank you page of any webinar registrations or lead magnets that you have. And the third thing you can do if you already have existing traffic is use content upgrades. So find your 10 most popular blog posts and create little free giveaways, little free courses or PDF guides or checklists or a PDF summary of the post specifically for that blog post. We found those three things to increase conversion. The first three things we do anytime somebody hires us. We go in, we optimize their homepage using the upside down homepage template. You can go to michaelhyatt.com, mixerg.com, goingdrider.com, VideoFruit.com and see examples of ones we've done that kind of follow that basic framework. For content upgrades, just Google content upgrades. There's plenty of stuff we've written and other people have written about that topic. And smartbribe.com to get the free plugin that will take that thank you page for any opt-in you have and turn it into a referral source so people can tell their friends about the thing they just got.
All right. Well, I'm multitasking here. I see your face on the smartbribe.com. I just opted in. I just shared a tweet. Now look at this. Share via email. So email one friend about that. That opens up my email. Very cool. Now I guess you're kind of on the honor system because all it knows is that I click that. I don't have to send this email and invite somebody, but that would be kind of weak sauce, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we found 90% of people share.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thanks for having me on. Hopefully this is helpful for folks.
All right. Thank you, sir. I got all the notes and links to you. It's VideoFruit.com and Harris_Bryan. It's Bryan with a Y on Twitter, but we'll have all that on the notes as well. Thank you, sir. It's been fantastic.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
All right, man. You too. Go do what Bryan says to do. It works. I've been using that smart bribe, and I see daily people sharing that on Twitter. That's nice, getting a little social media validation and driving traffic back to the site. I've been working on pop-ups, on opt-ins. I've been using tools like Hotjar and Crazy Egg, and now actually Google has a new little program here. Let me pull it up here. It's on their in-page analysis. So if you go into your website and your Google Analytics and scroll down to behavior and expand that, and it'll show the in-page analytics and embed that code on your site. Very powerful, and it's free, and it's showing you where are people clicking on your site. So when Bryan talks about optimizing your site, that's what he's talking about. So not only is it keyword rich, do you have your H1 tags, right? Your title tags, your H2, basically the subtitles and the subtitles, your H3s. Are you using the proper amount of keywords, keyword density on your site? Do you have images? Do you have video? Are they labeled appropriately? So doing that, but then analyzing, just because you do something and you follow the fundamentals and you do things right, it doesn't mean it's going to work. It doesn't mean it's going to work in your niche, maybe this time of year, maybe with the competition. So you got to constantly evaluate it. And so I'll make changes. I'll test different navigation titles, both in the header and in the footer. And if people are not clicking on something, I'm going to change the title or just remove that altogether and make it even easier for people to find what they're looking for. And then when they get to those pages, then I'm going to hit them up with maybe another pop-up, maybe with this content upgrade like he's talking about. So these are some fundamental things that you can and should and need to be doing, right, with the focus on converting your traffic. I just gave a presentation last week and made some sales on and for Infusionsoft and for premium content. And I tell this all the time to people: you don't have a traffic problem, you have a conversion problem. Bringing people to your site is easier than ever. There's tools out there, pay-per-click advertising through whatever, Google Display Network, Facebook advertising, LinkedIn, whatever. SEO, right? Inbound marketing. But you don't need people to just come visit your shop, right? You don't need window shoppers. You need them to opt in. Once you know what converts, then you can throw more money at your advertising and your marketing, because now you're going to have a positive ROI. If you know that 3 or 5 or 10% of visitors opt in, and that 50% of those take your upsell offer, and the upsell could literally just be an upsell to provide their last name or their cell phone for another bonus that you give. And then 50% of those people end up buying something at the minimum purchase price of $35, right? Whatever. Once you know those numbers, then you know what it takes to turn a profitable business and make it happen. So that's why I say focus on conversions. Once you master that, then work on marketing. So, like always, if you head on over to thesaleswhisperer.com/session 209, you can get all the notes here. I link out to everything that Bryan was mentioning. And as I said at the top of the show, check out a couple of things, the5.us, and also Inbound Sellers. A couple ways to stay close, stay motivated, get more done sooner rather than later. Thanks for listening. Please leave a comment. Please share this. Invite your friends and family. It really does help more than you would believe. Thanks for listening. Remember to sell different.